Hi everyone. So today I decided to do this outside. I hope you can hear well and can hear the birds because there's so many today that I thought it would be so nice and having this sound in the background. Also because I'm in a rest cycle now, like in a few days of a rest cycle at least because of the cycle I am in my month. And I actually want to bring this topic here a bit. I'm not sure if you are familiar with human design, but it's something that has been quite key for me in the last 3 years. Like I learned about it 3 years ago, and of course, it took a while for me to integrate it in my life and to really understand it and to receive the insights of this whole system into my daily life and what it really means. And it has been quite transformative in many ways. And I want to bring it here to connect the dots somehow because I feel it's so interesting how everything really is connected. And so, to introduce it to you, I am a manifester. And what that means is that I'm like part of a group of people that represent 9% of the population. There's five different energy types in human design, and two of them make 70% of the human population. And then there's three other groups that make the rest of it, like 30% approximately. 30% of the population. And my energy type is one of those. It's the manifestor type. And what is the manifestor like? Really, really shortly, is a type, an energy type that is here to initiate, basically, like to initiate things into the world. And these initiations, what this really means is that it doesn't really come from responding to something outside of us. It can come in different forms, and of course, it can be based on experiences that one has. And at the same time, how it is described is how the manifestors have this connection to the ether, is almost like the universe, to this source in a stronger way than any other type. Mostly, the other types are responding to the energies that are present and to what has been created before. So it's like mostly the manifestor is the initiator of something new or something different or something that the manifestor feels it's necessary to bring a different perspective into a certain topic. It can be like that, or it's something completely new, and it's just like a download that he receives, that he has this knowing it's inside that it needs to be created, and it's like birthed from within. And then the other energy types kind of like respond to those creations. So like the manifestor initiates, and the other energy types will respond to it in some way. So this is really shortly. And what happens with the manifestor is the center in human design that represents the motor center for a manifestor is the throat center. The throat center is the one through which the manifestor is meant to create big impact in the world. So to bring these initiations to life, to create these new things. So just shortly, in human design, there are 9 energy centers. For example, we have this chakra system. It talks about like 7 main centers, and here the human design like separates it into 9 energy centers. So 2 more. Of course, we have like thousands of energy centers in the body. The chakra system focus on like 7 that it considers like to be the main ones. Then now the human design considers 9. So there are like more energy centers that will impact every energy type, every chart. Every person is different, and you may have few energy centers defined like that basically represent you and what your energy authentically feels like and is like. And that when you connect to that and live in alignment with that, everything flows and everything works perfectly and flows in your life when you are living in alignment with who you are authentically designed to be. And so, why I'm sharing this is because I feel this is so curious how, when I was 12, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, so like an imbalance in my thyroid, right? So, in my throat area. And it represented the lack of self expression. So I was not speaking up. I was suppressing my voice. I was suppressing my emotions, feeling like I couldn't express my voice, my truth, my emotions, because I would be or in trouble, as many manifestors feel, or that I would be misunderstood, or I would be looked at like I was crazy and people didn't really get me. I would feel alone because no one got me, right? So, like, I would feel a bit more alone in my own path, in my own bubble. And because of that, to belong, I suppressed all of that, of course, as well, because growing up, I didn't really feel safe in my home environment, like emotionally and all of that. So the voice and the emotions were being suppressed and repressed. And later, not that much later, I was 12, so quite young, I was diagnosed with that, like chronically. And there was nothing that I could do to change it. So I was medicated. I already talked about this before. But when I went to Australia, I talk a lot about this because it was when a big shift really happened in myself, in my body, in my life, when I stopped doing what everyone else was doing because I thought it was what I had to do as well, right? Like everyone was doing that. So I thought I had to do the same to have a good life, to be independent, to have freedom. Freedom is one thing that for manifestors, especially, is key. It's really, really important. And I thought I needed to have a stable job, a good career, to to be happy and to be free and to have the emotional stability that I was looking for in being independent and not needing to be in environments that didn't support my emotions, all of that. And in fact, I wasn't really happy. So there was something that I felt was missing. And when I made this shift, basically, I started following my heart. In fact, like I started following my truth. And my truth means to fully express who I am for what I really am and following that no matter what. So, what happened was me following my heart. The heart is the center of the willpower where we know what is true for us and we follow that no matter what. And I saw something really, really interesting a couple of days ago that talked about this, like someone who works with human design and works more with like bringing the human design knowledge into the body because, again, like whatever the conditionings are and whatever we've suppressed along our lives gets stuck in our body somehow. And then that creates diseases and all kinds of imbalances. And so he was talking about how actually the throat, the heart, I don't want to say it wrong, but I think it's like liver, spleen, are all like really closely connected. And it makes so much sense. Like for me, it does. Because if we think about it, it's like in your heart, you know your truth. And at least here for me in my human design, that's how it works. So my willpower, like I know my truth, and then because of being a manifester, my truth is being expressed through my throat. So it's my motor center. So what happened was I started living my truth and following my truth, and that, of course, led me to start expressing my truth more. So I was already in Australia for like 6 months, not even that, I think, when I started forgetting this pill that I was taking since I was 12 years old, every single day. It was a pill that I was meant to take every day of my life. So, with me following my heart and leaving everything behind, leaving my old life behind, and fully transforming it and doing something completely different that no one was really expecting. Because I was usually like the good girl who followed the rules, who did everything right, who had good grades, who was like pursuing this great career, all of that. Because of course I wanted to fit in, I wanted to belong, and I did try to, but there was something inside of me that was like something isn't right, something is off, and I knew that not many people felt that way, or if they did, because sometimes of course we all have things we want to change in our lives and all that, and sometimes different things we want to pursue and we are not sure if we should or not, like many people go through that. But here I felt like I could see that the way I was feeling was not exactly the way that others I knew and that were close to me would feel about it. Like it would be so different. I really felt there was something bigger, something different that was calling me, and I was just kind of stuck and not really fulfilled. I followed what I thought was the right thing to do, to be a good girl, to fit in, to have a good life, and not be rejected by others around me, right? To try to be understood and seen as valuable and all of that. And this is all unconscious. Like, we don't really think we are doing that for that reason. Like, I wasn't. I wasn't thinking that I was doing that for that reason, but kind of like growing up, you learn these defenses, these defense mechanisms to belong, right, in society and have friends and all of that. So, yeah, the magic thing is like when this opportunity came to follow my heart and that I knew like it's now, this is time, this is exactly what I want to do, even though I cannot see the path ahead and what's going to happen next, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do. And how that healed my throat, which is my motor center as a manifester. It's one of the main centers. Like, of course, every center has its own role, but like the throat for a manifester is the motor center. So, like the key center, it's how we express ourselves, how we bring things to life. And how much then the work that I started doing with my dreams that I've talked before, I couldn't express myself in the dreams, and I couldn't speak up, I couldn't defend myself, I couldn't voice my needs or ask for help. So all of these, I wasn't aware of it before, in the beginning at least, but then it's so clear now how that was showing what was actually going on, and that imbalance in my throat, that was basically my thyroid was not working at the full level as it should. It was under functioning. So just shows this how much I wasn't expressing myself, expressing my emotions, expressing my needs, expressing my differences, expressing my voice, and saying what I wanted to say, because I didn't want to be seen as weird, as different, and I didn't want to be misunderstood by others. I wanted to belong. So I would suppress myself, my voice, to belong, to not be seen as weird. And this is so unconscious. this is such an unconscious process that we do. But if we think about it, like as kids, we do our best to fit in, right? We want to survive, and for that, in the beginning of our lives, our family is like key, our parents, like for our survival. And if we are seen as different and weird, and they don't really understand us, and they it feels like they don't really connect with us if they don't understand us, right? And we feel disconnected. And when we feel disconnected, we feel unsafe. So we feel like we cannot thrive, we cannot really be, yeah, safe, secure in our lives to thrive, to grow and expand and have a healthy, a safe life, right? Where we belong, where we have a purpose. And it's actually funny, I'm just thinking how this is so similar to our dogs, how they also adapt to belong in our families, right? Even though sometimes they are doing the opposite of what we want them to do, they are trying to fit in. If they don't feel connection with us, they don't feel safe. And if they don't feel safe, they start behaving from that space of fear. And that's exactly what happens with us kids when growing up, and we start choosing and making choices and moving forward from a space of fear because we don't want to be rejected, we don't want to be misunderstood, we want to belong. And we started making these choices from fear and not from love and not from our heart, from this expansion, from this willpower that we have inside that tells us that our role in this life, that our path in this life is a certain specific one, and no one really gets us because manifestors have this vision most of the times that it's far ahead. Like we carve the path, we carve new paths, we initiate new things, we bring things that sometimes are not really understood in the beginning by people. And it takes time for people to get us to really understand our ideas, our visions. And many don't and won't ever get to that. But the right ones will come along. And that's where we have to trust again that we are safe. We are designed like this perfectly by God, right? By the universe, whatever you believe. Like we are designed like this with a purpose, and every single one of us has its own purpose. And I'm so glad that this has been created, a human design system, because of course we have it all inside, and we the most important thing is to follow this inner guidance. Well, I had no idea about human design before, right? When I started following my heart and all of that. So it was like my soul started calling me. So we have this knowing inside, everything is inside of us. But it's so good when these systems are created that somehow come and support our minds to make sense of things, to actually understand why these differences exist and what do they mean and how we can use them to help our deconditioning. Because again, growing up we conditioned a lot to belong, to not feel separated, to feel safe, to feel like we can prosper, because we when we feel we don't belong, we feel like we won't be able to prosper. And the thing is that of course we all need community, and manifestors need community too. The thing is that our role in the community is a bit different from the other energy types roles, and that's okay. And we just need to learn these things to make sense of ourselves sometimes when we doubt, when we grew up with not such certainty of who we are, because for some reason we had to learn different things to survive and not really make choices that led us to thriving in our own energies, in who we truly are. So I wanted to share this because it's quite clear. And then just to share with you, if you don't know about it or much yet about human design, the key from human design is like you can dive as deep as you want into it. But the key, like basically, they give you this strategy that you can use that is your strategy and your authority. So it's like your authority is not something in your mind. Your authority comes from your body. So the human design system helps you understand yourself, but then the decisions, all the decisions in your life must be made from your body. And for example, in my situation, in my case, my authority is emotional. So it makes so much sense because the emotional authority at that time, like I knew from the way I felt over time, over the years, that something was off. There was something missing, and I knew it was like emotionally, I didn't feel complete. I didn't feel like I was exactly where I was meant to be. I wanted to go to Australia. Something was calling me there. And then when this opportunity showed up, that it felt like so aligned with what I wanted. It was even more perfect than what I had imagined before that I wanted to go and do in Australia. This was so aligned. And I knew, like, emotionally, like, I knew it was right for me through the way it made me feel over time. So, for the emotional authorities, we need to allow our emotional wave to carry through. So we have like ups and downs in the emotional wave. And to make a decision, we need to be clear that that decision is always the same during our emotional wave. Even though the doubts may come up, even though the fears, the uncertainty might come up, we know deep down, like our body, in our body, again, in our body, we know that the emotion, the feeling of it is like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. Even though I have no idea where this is going to lead me, the answer is always yes. No matter what comes, no matter the fears, the questions, the doubts that may pop up here and there, I know this is it. And of course, this is my experience as an emotional manifester. And if you are curious about it, just explore it for yourself, your human design. It's been incredible for me, like really helpful. I feel maybe because being a manifester is so different from most of the population anyway, and my whole family, well, at least the three members that lived with me all the time, right, growing up, they were all part of the 70% of the population. So that explains a lot why I would feel so different and so misunderstood, because I didn't really work in the same way as them. And this really helped me make peace with myself and kind of like forgive myself, because sometimes we end up being really hard on ourselves when we feel like, why am I like this? Why am I this way? Why I cannot be happy doing the things that other people do? Why am I trying to find other ways? Why can I not fit in? Like, all of these questions come up when we are so used to something that we see in our realities, but we don't feel inside it truly resonates with us. But we don't really have other examples close to us that show us something different. So we end up questioning ourselves. And this really supported me. So if you are curious about it, just discover yours by yourself, because not just the manifestor, but the other two at least from this 30% of the population has really specific features as well. And even though like the other 70% are more common, they still have certain things and certain, like, everyone is unique, everyone is really special in their own ways. And the human design really helps you see your specific gifts and help you tap into what is true for you and what is not true for you, and what is actually aligned for you or not. And if you are being conditioned, like if you are acting from a conditioned space, or if you are being true to yourself. And also helps you see which are your gifts, which are your talents, that you came here to bring to the world. But again, mainly it gives you a way of simplifying this process of looking at your human design, because you can dive as deep as you want. But the main thing of human design is to give you like what is your strategy and what is your authority, because if you follow these two, you will live in alignment with yourself. You don't need to understand all the rest. It's like follow these two things and it will be key for you to live your human design experiment, as they say. So it's like those two things will show you the way forward for you to live in alignment with yourself, with who you are designed to be, and again, with your soul and with your identity, and just to live a fulfilling life, simplifying it and not needing to go as much to our heads, because when we sometimes want to understand it all, we end up going a lot into our heads and we forget the body. And the human design system, again, the idea is to get understanding about it, but then to really tune into the body. So that's why the strategy and authority help you, because those things are connected to the body and help you create this relationship and this connection more and more into the body. So you live in alignment, you live in connection to the body, honoring your body and taking care of your well-being in every single way and living your best life as much as possible. You know, nothing is perfect and we all have been conditioned. So it's just like taking one step at a time to live in more alignment with yourself. I think it's great and I've really been enjoying the process and to get to know more about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode and, you know, follow your soul, follow your truth, whatever that means. And if you don't know what that means, or you would like to have more confirmation, because sometimes, again, we learn to question and doubt ourselves. So to have this outside system that shows you more stuff about you, it really helped me see things that I felt I knew, but I never saw something or someone telling me that. So it gives you some kind of confirmation and also like this kind of warm embrace where you feel seen by the things that are being said to you or like shown to you in your human design chart. And it has been wonderful to me, and I hope it can be wonderful to you. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you, and I hope you enjoy it and that you live your most aligned, authentic life for yourself. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.